crafty friends, it's Annie from Vintage Lace Journal, and I'm back with the first episode of my series of creating a junk journal. Now, as you've seen in my first video, this was a junk journal I made completely from scratch with some cereal packets, and then I've just put lots of different papers inside. Some are scrapbook papers, music papers, coffee dyed papers, and so on. So what I'm going to do for you today is show you, I thought nice and easy, is if you're creating a junk journal like this, one of the things you get is a completely blank page. This is coffee dyed paper. So I'm going to create a background on here, showing some techniques you could use to do that. And then I'm going to add a pocket onto there as well. So how to attach a pocket onto paper. So this is quite thin paper. But if you want to make this stronger, you could put scrapbook paper on there, so you can actually layer some background on there to start off with to make it thicker. So I'm not going to do that on this side. That's one thing I'm going to do on the next side. So just for today, I'm going to concentrate on just this side. Also, when I've started to bend this, it started to pull some of the scrapbooking paper away. So that doesn't bother me because it's just part of a junk journal. But what I will do is get some washi tape down there. So I'm going to show you how to cover that up with washi tape as well. So first of all, I'm going to come in with a scrap piece of paper. These bits I've just been trialing some things on before I do my video. And I'm going to pop that behind there. What this does is it makes sure that everything you do is obviously on this page and doesn't go on to any other page you've got in your junk journal. So just an old piece of scrap paper or copier paper and pop that in there. So the first thing I'm going to do with this is I'm going to come in with my tea dye distressing, so it's a bit lighter than the vintage photo, and I've just got a sponge blender, and I'm going to just create the edges to make them a bit darker. So pop that into your tea dye, and just with round movements, just bringing along the edge of that paper. Now because this is paper, it will pull, so just make sure you're keeping just small little motions as you're going round. Now, when you come to the corner, I like to bring it in a bit more at the corners. So I'm going to bring my foam pad further in and then just come back to the outside edge as I come down. So just going round in circular motions, just picking up that edge. And then again, when I come to a corner, I'm just going to bring that further onto the paper and in, along down to the bottom. Okay, now I'm just going to move this paper out and onto this side now just to cover that side up, and then I can do the same thing on this side. So circular motions coming in just to create that brown all the way around that page. Okay, so you'll have slightly lighter in the middle and that slightly darker around the edge. I'm just going to come in a bit further on these corners so they all are pretty much the same. So it creates like a frame around the back of your page. So I'm just going to pop that back under there. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have this junk journal with a theme of mushrooms. And I've downloaded parts of this kit. This is Mushrooms from Days Gone By series, and this is from the Junk Journal Studio. So I'm a design team member for Junk Journal Studio, and this is one of the kits I've just asked Michelle to send me, and it's absolutely beautiful. So there's loads and loads of mushroom and fungi things in here, lots of lovely words. It's one of my favourite images, I love that. Then there's these little tickets. I'm going to show you how to build these up on a page, the backgrounds. Again, the same words but in a green colour. Then there's lots of fussy cut images of mushrooms. You get large ones and smaller ones. This isn't all of the kit, this is just a part that I'm going to be using. These things are really good. I'm going to show you today how to use them for tuck spots and pockets. There's pockets already made in there, so you fold this to create pockets. Some more images. These were good for backgrounds. And then there's these lovely little stamps. So these are some of the things I'm going to use today. Now, I printed all these out just on copy paper, and when I want to use them for another project, I then do something to make them a bit stronger on the back. Just trying to find the one I want. Okay, so I'm going to use this image today, and it's got this slight kind of reddy pinky colour in it. So I've got this saltwater taffy distress ink, so it's not red, it's a slight pink. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come in with, I've got one of these little brushes, so this is lots of fine little bristles. And I've got my saltwater taffy. I'm just going to dip my end of my brush in. And I'm just going to pick up some pink. I'll put some pink in just on those corners. Now, because of the brown, you can't really see it at the minute. I'll show you in the light, but it's slightly making those corners just a little bit more pinky. So I'm coming in, not on the darker parts, I'm coming in slightly, so it's this part here. And it just gives that bit of warmth to that brown and mirrors the kind of reddy pink on that image. So I'll just show you this now. So you can see it's just brought up a little bit of colour into there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this out, and I've measured, and it's roughly slightly bigger than the actual side of this page. So as I cut this, I am going to slightly make it a little bit smaller. So let's put my lid on that so it doesn't dry out. So I'm going to come in with my trimmer, and like I said, I'm just going to slightly take a little bit of this edge off. Now, like I said, this is printed onto paper, so I am also going to then stick this onto some card before I put it onto my page. So again, just bringing that over just to slightly trim off part of that side, and then just double check it's going to fit. Yep, I'm happy with that. And then just chop off that top bit there. So all I've got here is just some white card. I'm now going to just stick this down. And I'm just going to use a glue stick. So give that a really nice glug of glue on the back. What I would have normally done is printed my things out onto card. The ones I want to make tags and pockets I print onto card already. But I just didn't for this for some reason. So two sides can go straight to the edge of there. And then just bring back in my trimmer. So it doesn't really waste, I don't think it wastes as much card if you do it like this, because you can just literally cut off the bit you want. And that makes that a nice strong pocket. And there we go. So that's nice and thick. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do on my background to give it a little bit more extra depth is I'm going to come in with my brown ink again. So I'm going to keep with this tea dyed ink, and I've got a text stamp. Now I'm not going to put this on an acrylic block. I'm going to leave it as it is because it gives a lot more it's kind of like more random kind of placing. Now down the bottom here is obviously going to be the pocket, so I'm not going to worry about too much about that. But what I'm then going to do is just with it on my hand, okay, I'm just going to hold on to it like that. I'm going to pop it into the ink pad and just come onto my project and just pop it down like that. And this gives a really subtle background. And it doesn't make any sense. These stamps are designed specifically just to be a text background. They're not actually supposed to be red. Okay. And I'm going to leave that there because, like I said, my pocket will go down to there. So if I just bring that up to you there now, you can just see it's given that extra piece of interest to that background. What you could do this in a I can't think what the name of the ink pad is now. Just grab one. So you could use a translucent clear pad, and then you could go over this with a embossing powder, and you can create depth and interest with that as well. That's something I might show in another video. Okay, so already we can see this background's really starting to build up. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to come in with my pocket so I know where that's going to go. And when you stick things onto your journal, I always like to use a wet glue rather than a glue stick, because obviously I know that's going to want to be stuck on there to stay. So I'm just going to come back in with my white paper so I can clearly see the edge of my page. This is where I start to get messy all around me. So I like to use a tacky glue. So I've got this one at the minute. This is Art Studio tacky glue, and it's got a nice little precision nib on there. So when you get this, you just cut the end off. So I'm just going to hold it upside down to have the glue. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue 3 sides of this to make my pocket. So obviously you want the top open, and try and do the finest little bead of glue as you can, because obviously the wider your glue is, the more that will take up of your pocket. So I'm just going to come onto here and just come down my side, down the other side, and across the bottom. There we go. And tacky glue will give you that really nice hold. So really line it up the bottom of the pocket. I'm going to bring that across a little bit, and then just give that a real good push down. There we go. And just make sure that's really nice and stuck. There we go. So that's our pocket put onto our nice background now. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with some more bits and pieces from my kit that I'm using. And I'm going to come in with a word across the top here. Now I've got a bit of lace left over from a project, so I'm just going to give that, pop that there. Again, it just gives it that other little bit of interest. And I'm going to use one of those words, but I'm going to layer it up. So I've got my lace, I've got these numbers, and I'm going to do the words that are in green. So rather than just sticking one thing down, it's sometimes nice to sort of build a layer of things up. So I'm going to choose not one of the biggest ones, because it's quite a small piece of lace that's going to be popped out of there. So I'm going to choose, I think I might just have the Nature's Notes. I quite like that one. Now I use hand scissors. I just like cutting things out by hand. Actually, I might use the Study of finger. So come along with the scissors. Cut that out. And then what you want to do when you're layering up is choose different kind of colours to contrast each other. So obviously this label's green, the lace is kind of like a neutral kind of colour. I'm now thinking I might want to go bigger with that. No, I quite like that. So as you can see, my lace is that kind of size. My label fits over that quite nicely. So now I want to think about some interest behind that as well. So perhaps one of these orange tickets I think would look really good. And it's all about having a play. The more confident you become with your supplies. And this, I always think about linking colours. When I look, this orange is in this again. So it's quite nice to link all your colours in your project together. And always remember, before you glue anything down, have a little play. There we go. So I'm thinking about popping that there, coming with my lace on the top to there, and then having that on there. Okay, see if you like it. I don't like the way that number 2 is really just on its own, so I'm going to bring that more central. I like the 2, but it's just a bit too stark on its own as a number 2. So bring the lace over it and then pop that there. And then you can see as a layer, I can see the lace, I can see my numbers, I can see the ticket on top. So then I'm just going to come in with, again, some, this is just PVA glue. And these are just printed on normal copier paper. Labels and things like that don't need to be printed on card. Especially if you're just sticking them down on paper. So that beats first. Now, I do have fabric glue, but what I like to do with this is I'll just do a bit of glue along the middle, where that's going to go, and give it a bit of a squish. It will dry clear because this is PVA glue. Just to get that tacked down, and then squidge it into the glue, and then this bit will hold that down as you push it as well. Okay, making sure it's the right way up. So really push that through the fibres of the lace. I'm just going to hold that for a couple of seconds just to get it to hold. Okay, it's taken shape quite well. Now, if you remember, if you watched the first video, with that masterboard I made, I had quite a few things left over. And I'm going to create with this piece that was left over some little smaller tags to go in here. So I'm just going to measure how wide this needs to be. So always take into account when you're making a tag that you have got your 2 glue spots either side. Your tag will need to be a lot smaller. So I'm going to make this 2.5 inches, which will work out quite nicely to go in there. So bring back my trimmer and then just come along. So 2.5. And then I'm going to come in with my punch, pop that into there. There's quite a lot of card here, so that's going to take a lot of pushing. And then create a little stumpy tag, which is quite sweet. It's always good to invest in big pieces of material like this. I know they seem a bit of a costly outlay, but actually I think it's quite worthwhile doing. There we go. Just knock some things over. Okay, so I've got this cute little tag now. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with my distress ink, and I'm just going to ink the edges of this. If you don't want to ink it, you don't have to. If you want to use a different colour ink, feel free. All crafting thing is just showing you how to do something, and then obviously you can come along and just make that your own. I'm going to pop an eyelet in there. I always think it just finishes it off. And I'm going to use a rosy colour gold because it fits in with the pink theme. So just pop that in there and set that with my there you go. And I bought some of these are little bulb pins. You can just unclip those and clip them in. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back in. So rather have that just on its own, I think I might choose a little mushroom thing here. So I'm going to cut that out. Just going to bring this angle back out again so you don't keep going dizzy. I'm just wondering, actually, I've put my eyelet in there. I'm not going to be able to. I was going to link it in as a little extra. I could still do it. Let's see. So cut these are kind of like little stamps, quite sweet. And just to take a lot of that whiteness off the edge, I'm just going to come in with my ink. Take that white copy paper look away. There we go. And I'm just going to pop a little hole in here. So on the other side of my die, it's got a little hole. And then I'm going to pop that into there with my bulb pin. And then just pass that round. I should have done that up the other way, really. What's going on? Things always go wrong when you're recording. There we go. So it's got my bulb bit on the top, so it's easy to hang like a little dangly. And then all I'm going to do on here is then just come back to the label. So I'm going to pick a label that goes with the colour. So contrasting colour. I quite like the orange again, because that fits in with the rest of my page. So I'll just cut that out. And the good thing about digitals is you can use it as many times as you like. Obviously, once you've bought it, you can print off just the bits you want. You can print off the whole kit, and it's yours to keep then for however long you want to have it. Okay, so I'm going to come back in with this kit. So I'm just going to pop my little label that side, I think. Oops, splurge of my thumb. Pop that there. And I'm going to fussy cut a mushroom just to go in here. So if I come to my fussy cuts, I'm just going to roughly cut this one out first of all, and just check it's not too big. And actually I think that's going to fit on there just about right. I just might need to cut some of the bottom up. So I'm just going to bring up where I'm cutting it here, and then I always like to leave a border. And the good thing about these kits is as well, if you can see, there's always a border on there, so you can cut round that, which leaves you that lovely edge. You can cut it right up to the colours if you want to. It's up to you. There we go. So that will sit right on the bottom of there now, and fits on there absolutely beautifully. So coming in again with this wet glue, always make sure you've got your edges picked up, because that's where, if anywhere, they'll lift. Okay, pop that there. So I'm making sure the bottom where I cut it off is hitting the bottom of my tag. There we go, with that little cupid at the top. That's made our tag. So if I bring that back in, there we have our first page with our little tag to go in there, all ready to be done. Simple as that. So lots of techniques here. Obviously you use your edging techniques with the ink, your inking of the background with a stamp, and then just layering up some things onto here with some lace and bits and pieces you have left over, and making a pocket with a little tag to go in there. So that's the first one of my series. Yeah, come back for the next one. I'm not sure what it'll be, but keep your eyes open. If you click on the subscribe button, and you could always have the little subscribe button, I think it lets you know when I put a new video up. So I hope this is really helpful for some of you that are new to junk journaling, or if you just need a bit of inspiration because you've got yourself in a bit of a crafting fog, because it happens to us all at the best of times. Happy crafting, my friends, and I'll see you all very soon. Much love. Bye.